Imagine stepping into a world where you are no longer the pinnacle of creation, but just another link in a vast chain of beings. This might sound like a dystopian nightmare, but it was the reality that scientists and philosophers grappled with in the 17th and 18th centuries. The idea that humans were not the unique and supreme creation of God, but rather a part of a continuous chain of life, was both terrifying and fascinating. This concept, known as the chain of being, was a central theme in the scientific and philosophical discourse of the time. It challenged the traditional view of human superiority and opened the door to a new understanding of our place in the natural world. The chain of being was a hierarchical model that placed all living and non-living things in a continuous and unbroken order, from the lowest forms of life to the highest, with God at the very top. Humans, according to this model, were somewhere in the middle, above the animals but below the angels. This idea was deeply rooted in medieval and Renaissance thought, where it was used to explain the order and harmony of the universe. However, as science began to advance, this model started to show its limitations. Naturalists and anatomists like Tyson began to challenge the idea that humans were uniquely separate from the rest of the animal kingdom. Tyson, a prominent English physician and anatomist, was one of the key figures in this shift. Born in 1651 to a wealthy family in Bristol, Tyson followed a conventional path, earning his Bachelor of Medicine degree from Oxford in 1677 and practicing in London. His interest in anatomy led him to become a Fellow of the Royal Society, where he made significant contributions to the field of comparative anatomy. Tyson's work was characterized by his meticulous and detailed approach, which involved dissecting and comparing the anatomy of different animals, including the porpoise and the chimpanzee. One of Tyson's most significant contributions was his dissection of a porpoise, which he published in 1680. At the time, the porpoise was classified as a fish, but Tyson's detailed examination of its internal anatomy revealed that it was in fact a mammal. This discovery challenged the traditional classification based on external appearance, and highlighted the importance of internal structures in understanding the relationships between different species. Tyson's work on the porpoise was a step towards a more scientific and empirical approach to natural history, emphasizing the need for detailed and accurate observations. Tyson's most groundbreaking work, however, came with his dissection of a chimpanzee, which he published in 1699 as Orang-Outang Sive Homo Silvestris, or The Anatomy of a Pygmy Compared with That of a Monkey, an Ape, and a Man. The chimpanzee, which had been brought to London from Africa, was the first anthropoid to be studied in detail by European scientists. Tyson's detailed and illustrated account of the chimpanzee's anatomy revealed striking similarities to humans, including the structure of the brain, teeth, and skeletal system. This work was revolutionary because it provided a concrete and visual demonstration of the physical kinship between humans and other primates, challenging the idea that humans were a unique and separate creation. Tyson's work on the chimpanzee had far-reaching implications. It suggested that the differences between humans and other animals were not as clear-cut as previously thought, and that there might be a missing link between humans and the rest of the animal kingdom. This idea was both exciting and controversial, as it challenged the traditional religious and philosophical views of human nature. Tyson's approach was scientific and empirical, focusing on observable and measurable facts rather than theological or metaphysical speculation. His work laid the foundation for the field of physical anthropology, which seeks to understand the physical and biological similarities and differences between humans and other animals. Tyson's influence extended beyond the realm of comparative anatomy. He also played a crucial role in the reform of the treatment of the mentally ill at Bethlehem Hospital, also known as Bedlam. As a physician and governor of the hospital, Tyson introduced more humane and therapeutic methods of treatment, emphasizing the importance of care and support for patients. He brought in women nurses, set up a wardrobe fund to clothe poor patients, and introduced post-institutional treatment with periodic visits to patients at home. These reforms were a significant improvement over the previous practices of beating, shackling, and confining patients, and they left a lasting legacy in the treatment of mental illness. The work of Tyson and other scientists of his time paved the way for the development of evolutionary theory. While the chain of being described the order and harmony of the universe, It did not explain how species came to be or how they changed over time. The idea that species were fixed and unchanging was challenged by the growing body of evidence from natural history and comparative anatomy. Scientists began to see the natural world as a dynamic and evolving system, where species were not static, but could change and adapt over time. One of the most significant contributions to this new understanding was the work of Carl Linnaeus, a Swedish botanist and zoologist who is considered the father of modern taxonomy. In his Systema Naturae, 1735, Linnaeus classified living organisms into a hierarchical system, placing humans within the order of primates. Linnaeus's classification system was based on observable physical characteristics and sought to group organisms according to their similarities and differences. He recognized that the differences between humans and other primates were not as significant as previously thought and classified humans as a species, Homo sapiens, within the genus Homo. This was a bold and controversial move, as it placed humans on the same level as other animals and challenged the traditional view of human uniqueness. The implications of Linnaeus's work were profound. By classifying humans as a species, he opened the door to the idea that humans could have evolved from other species. This was a radical departure from the traditional view that humans were created in their current form, and occupied a unique and unchanging position in the natural order. Linnaeus's work laid the groundwork for the development of evolutionary theory, which would be further developed by scientists like Charles Darwin in the 19th century. The path to evolutionary theory was not a straight or easy one. It required a shift in thinking from a static and hierarchical view of the natural world to a dynamic and interconnected one. Scientists like Tyson and Linnaeus played crucial roles in this shift by challenging traditional views and providing new evidence and perspectives. Their work laid the foundation for the scientific revolution that would transform our understanding of the natural world and our place in it. In conclusion, the work of Edward Tyson and Carl Linnaeus was instrumental in challenging the traditional view of human superiority and placing humans within the broader context of the natural world. Their detailed and empirical studies of anatomy and classification provided a new understanding of the physical and biological similarities and differences between humans and other animals. This work laid the foundation for the development of evolutionary theory and opened the door to a more scientific and empirical approach to understanding the natural world. The idea that humans are part of a continuous chain of life, rather than a unique and separate creation, continues to shape our understanding of biology and our place in the universe.